And for us, with the new atmosphere, new coaching, everything is just absolutely new. It feels really good. It feels fresh. It's kind of like when you take your clothes out the dryer, kind of like fresh. It feels different and it feels good because we have new leadership, we got new players, we got vet leadership, and so I think all that combined just makes for a good atmosphere. I think the best part right now is everyone wants to be here. You know, it's really downplayed. It sounds cliche, but it's nothing like being where you want it and everybody feels value in order to go have a good training camp, have a good preseason, so you can have a good first game when the season starts. But I think right now it's just that good feeling of everybody feel like, hey, I want to be here and I want to compete.
Cheryl Swoopes is a legend, no doubt about that. But her latest comments rubbed a lot of WNBA fans and players the wrong way, especially when it comes to what she implied about players not wanting to show up or give their best. But if anyone was ready to respond, it was Indiana Fever star Kelsey Mitchell. She didn't hold back, and her words weren't just powerful. They reflected the new energy surrounding the Fever locker room. In today's breakdown, we go deep into how Mitchell responded and why her message is exactly what the WNBA needs right now. If you are rocking with Indiana, or just love straight talk from real hoopers, hit that subscribe button to NBA Showdown. Give this video a like, and make sure your notifications are on so you don't miss anything WNBA this season. Cheryl Swoopes' comments came from a place of concern, but ended up sounding like criticism. She pointed out that many players are dealing with things behind the scenes that leave them feeling like they do not want to be there. And while that might be true in some isolated cases, applying that view broadly makes it seem like today's players lack the hunger or drive that built the foundation of the league. What she overlooked is that times are changing. The culture around the WNBA is evolving, and there are squads like the Indiana Fever where players are more committed than ever. Swoopes' take almost dismisses the real work being put in by teams building chemistry, identity, and momentum. That mindset ignores how important a good environment is. And it sets the stage for someone like Kelsey Mitchell to step up and bring clarity to what is actually happening behind closed doors in Indiana.
People in the Fever, we're like,
that's not my point. There's a lot of other shit going on that players are like, this ain't where I want to be.
over there.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some
So
new
that-
some new
yeah, like
shit's
it's
going
a
on
lot.
around there.
It's a lot. So you have players that are very significant on this Indiana Fever team that are like, I
don't want to be here.
Kelsey Mitchell's response was calm, confident, and absolutely clear. She did not address Cheryl Swoopes directly, but she didn't need to. The energy she brought when talking about Indiana's atmosphere made her message loud and proud. Mitchell said it best: the environment feels fresh. Like clothes straight out the dryer, everything is renewed, recharged, and ready for action. That is not the voice of someone who is unsure about where they are. That is someone fully invested. Indiana is not just another stop for her. It is where she wants to be. And that kind of vibe is infectious. It boosts morale, lifts performance, and changes outcomes. What Mitchell described is what every professional athlete craves: a supportive and energized setting where everyone feels like they belong. That directly counters Swoopes' implication and puts the spotlight back on how culture makes or breaks a team.
And for us, with the new atmosphere, new coaching, everything is just absolutely new. It feels really good. It feels fresh. It's kind of like when you take your clothes out the dryer, kind of like fresh. It feels different and it feels good because we have new leadership, we got new players, we got vet leadership, and so I think all that combined just makes for a good atmosphere.
When Kelsey Mitchell looked back at last season, she didn't sugarcoat anything. She acknowledged that things were not clicking and the locker room vibe was off. Players were not feeling good, and that lack of connection led to poor performances. But what stood out was how she described this turnaround as a domino effect. Fix the vibe, and the play starts improving. That change did not come from luck. It came from deliberate effort. Mitchell gave voice to what many athletes go through quietly. She highlighted how internal stability and mutual respect within a team are just as important as shooting percentages or stat lines. The difference between then and now? Everyone feels included. Everyone feels healthy. Everyone is locked in. This transformation is not something outsiders like Swoopes may see, but for those living it day to day, it is everything. Mitchell's reflections served as a reminder that greatness starts with belief, from within.
Last year, it didn't feel good, so we had to get that in order first for people to start playing well. It's like the domino effect. But I think once your culture is kind of established, how you guys see it now, I think it makes everything
As the Queens of the Court podcast pointed out, Kelsey Mitchell has been doing way more than she gets credit for. It is one thing to be a consistent scorer or a leader in the locker room, but it is another thing entirely to be the glue that holds a team together through rough seasons, coaching changes, and roster shuffles. That is what Kelsey has done. She has kept her foot on the gas, even when things were not smooth. And what hurts the most is that players like her rarely get the spotlight unless someone on the outside reminds everyone how much they are worth. The podcast host made it clear. The Fever's improvement is not just about new pieces or draft picks. It is about how Mitchell has been the foundation through it all. She deserves recognition for being more than just a part of the system. She has been a major reason Indiana is starting to turn the corner.
Personally, here's where I think they didn't do a very good job, and that was with Kelsey Mitchell, who's an unrestricted free agent, because Kelsey Mitchell had a hell of a season this season. And I don't think
Kelsey Mitchell shut everything down when she said, "The best part about this current Indiana Fever team is that everyone wants to be here." That simple sentence carries weight. It tells you that this team is not just a stopgap for players chasing contracts or trying to survive the league. It is a place where people feel seen, valued, and motivated. And if you compare that to Cheryl Swoopes' perspective, it is like night and day. Swoopes painted a picture of players feeling disconnected and unsure. Mitchell, on the other hand, is talking about players who chose to be here, who are locked in, and who believe in what the franchise is building. When a team is built on trust, mutual respect, and belief in a shared goal, everything changes. And Mitchell's message makes it clear that this version of the Indiana Fever is nothing like what critics on the outside think it is.
I think the best part right now is everyone wants to be here. You know, it's really downplayed. It sounds cliche, but it's nothing like being where you want it and everybody feels value in order to go have a good training camp, have a good preseason, so you can have a good first game when the season starts. But I think right now, it's just that good feeling of everybody feel like, hey, I want to be here and I want to compete.
To cap off her statements, Kelsey Mitchell gave a heartfelt shout out to head coach Stephanie White. And when a player takes time to acknowledge leadership like that, it says a lot. Mitchell spoke about how Stephanie's support extended beyond just basketball, from recruiting her back from overseas to making her feel welcomed and respected. That kind of leadership is what creates long-term loyalty and performance. Stephanie White has helped mold this team into something that feels like a unit, and her approach is what elevated Mitchell and her teammates into believing this season is theirs to claim. This kind of trust between coach and player is rare in professional sports, and Mitchell's praise confirms that Indiana is not just developing skills. They are building a family. That closeness is why this team is primed to silence the doubters and prove that what's happening behind the scenes is just as important as what happens on the court.
What's it been like adjusting to Stephanie White and I guess that coach you're talking about?
Oh man, I have nothing but great things to say about Stephanie. From the time I was in China playing and her trying to get me back here, and the leadership that she took to make sure I felt welcome and felt safe coming back and playing under her. She's done an unbelievable job with all of us one by one and making sure we all feel.
Cheryl Swoopes might have been speaking from experience, but her comments are no longer reflective of what's going on inside the Indiana Fever locker room. Kelsey Mitchell made it loud and clear. This team is united, focused, and ready to make noise. Everyone wants to be here. Everyone feels like they matter. And when you combine that with the leadership of Stephanie White and the heart of players like Mitchell, this team is going to be a real problem for the league. The Fever are not just rebuilding. They are rebranding. And they are doing it with purpose. If you are rooting for a comeback story done the right way, then Indiana is the team to watch. Stay locked into NBA Showdown for more powerful breakdowns and behind-the-scenes stories from the WNBA. Hit that like button, drop a comment with your take, and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next.